Do you think this team is likelier to be one and done in the playoffs or make a run all the way to the biggest game? Dominique, I'm looking right at you.
All right.
You start with the Chicago Bears.
I was early on the Bears. I love the Bears. However, the answer to this question is they're more likely to be one and done. I mean, this Bears team, they're very good. They run the hell out of the ball. They have an inexperienced coach, inexperienced quarterback, and a boom or bust defense that busts a little more than you like in the playoffs. So, like, I have to say, I think they're more likely to be one and done.
So to be clear, are you telling me you think they lose Saturday night to their arch rival Packers?
Well, Greedy, the construct of the question is it one or done or win the Super Bowl?
Ain't no in-between.
Two and done.
Yeah. I think there's a strong chance that they could beat them, but I was playing your game. This is your damn game, Greedy. I'm following your rules.
I blame Fink.
Okay.
Anyway, if they win that game, then they would, in theory, get the Eagles next, and that game would be in Chicago, and the Bears have already won that game on Black Friday in Philadelphia. The Bears is a playoff team. Sometimes we'll look at these teams that we feel are ahead of schedule, young quarterback, all that sort of thing. How much confidence do I live with a lot of Bears fans? How much confidence do you have if you're a Bears fan this week, at least going into this game Saturday night against the Packers?
I am confident. Listen, I think you run the ball well. You have an opportunistic defense, which again, with Jordan Love coming back from being off, how does that rust kind of play in? They know each other well. Look, I've been in these games where you're playing a team the third time in a row. You know each other. Ain't gonna be any surprises. They're the most physical team. They're going to have to play that way to get the win come Saturday night.
You think about it, that interception Caleb Williams throws in the first matchup where he has his tight end open and Nixon makes a great play. They're that close to tying that game up, potentially going for two and winning that football game. So I do think the Bears have a good chance. They've played now 3 times in the last 6 weeks. This is going to be one hell of a game, and it's been heroics at the end that have won it. So I can't wait to watch this.
What are you looking at here, Graz?
I think the experience the Packers have played in these games before, the Bears have not. That's the kind of thing I look at as a tiebreaker when I'm talking about two rival teams that literally play each other every other week at this point. Yeah. And I don't know how to decide between the two of them which one's better because both of those games were close. So I think the Packers' playoff experience might play a role here.
Okay, that's one of the games that we're looking at here. Let's go to the next one. J-Mac, let's talk about the New England Patriots. Are they likelier to be one and done or make a Super Bowl run?
I'm going to go Super Bowl run, and Dominique just said it. I think they beat the Chargers, so I don't think they're going to be one and done. This is the same team that's similar to the Chicago Bears, where there is some inexperience on Drake May's part, playing his first ever playoff game. But the difference is Mike Vrabel has been there. He has been the head coach for the Tennessee Titans when they have gone on a playoff run. I think this is a young team that finds a way to win a few games, and let's see what they can do.
What do you think of New England going into this dance?
Listen, I like it. Vrabel knows how to minimize the moment, and I think that allows players to play fast. He doesn't let you get overwhelmed in it. He's going to talk about fundamentals. Listen, man, once the whistle blows, by the way, the dude's played in a bunch of big games. Yeah. He's coached in a bunch of big games. This is not his first rodeo. And there's something about the bliss. Ignorance is bliss. There's something about that when you're talking about the Patriots. I like where they are.
He's a coach that knows his team. I was on the sideline for the game on Sunday in Foxborough. They get an interception late, and there's a flag on the play, and the guy who got the interception is celebrating. But then he stops because he sees the flag, and Vrabel's getting it like it's on the other team. So he actually shoves the guy toward where the end zone where everybody else is celebrating the interception.
Yeah.
Go over there and celebrate with your guys. And then he was doing the thing with him.
I know that feels like a small thing, but
not.
as we enter these coaching cycles every year, and we hear everyone talk about this offensive guys, quarterback coaches.
Right.
No, the things about head coaching a team is not about whispering to a quarterback.
Amen.
Yeah.
Mike Vrabel can't play quarterback. I don't think he's ever whispered in his life.
Nope.
But you know what? He's a football coach. And I think that when these teams, these owners start looking for coaches, you can't always be looking for the guy that you're not going to find in Shanahan, McVay. You can find them, then go for it.
Right.
But finding someone who's like a mediocre offensive coach is just saying, but he knows quarterbacks, doesn't mean he should get hired.
He knows when it's time to yell at him. He knows when it's time to celebrate with him. And I think that's vital.
Graziano will be there for that game for us for Sunday NFL Countdown. All right, last one will be the Eagles. Jeff, you've been high through every up and down of their season. You've remained steadfast. Are they more likely one and done or Super Bowl run?
I ain't off this bandwagon, baby.
Let's
Super
go,
Bowl
Jeff.
run with some conviction. Say it with your chest, baby. Hey, listen, I like the way they're matched up. I think they're finding their rhythm. They understand what they got to do. I didn't love they didn't play for the 2 seed, but again, Sirianni I think knows his team. He wants guys to be fresh and healthy. He's not really worried about who they're playing as long as they're healthy. their defense is going to give them a chance in every game. And if Hurts plays just above average and they can run the ball somewhat well, it will be a tough team to beat.
Yeah, I think this is a great matchup for them. And I think we've seen them against bad defenses or mediocre defenses explode. I think they're probably going to have that. We're going to come out of this game feeling really confident about the Eagles. And then they're going to have to face a little tougher competition. And I think that might be a different story.
Let me ask you a question from the players' perspective. The 49ers, and I thought they said all the right things. Shanahan, after their loss on Saturday night, Shanahan said the right things, and George Kittle in particular got up there and talked about, man, that loss was terrible, but now we got an opportunity. But my goodness, with what they had in front of them, all the conversation about everything being at home, including the Super Bowl and the week off, now they lose that game, turn around quick and have to be ready to go to Philadelphia. That can't be an easy spot, just psychologically.
I lived it in a sense of 2019 with the New England Patriots. We're playing Miami in the last game of the season, and Gesicki catches one in the back of the end zone. And when I tell you, when we walked in the locker room after that game, I already knew we were losing that next week when the Titans came in that wild card game. Our entire locker room was completely deflated because guys understood what that win would have meant for us to get that bye week and to be in that position. I think to your point, hearing Shanahan and hearing that what George Kittle said, I remember speaking up in the locker room because I was the new guy. I got to New England, and all of them were used to getting there. I'm like, hell, we still get to go to the playoffs, right? Like, I don't have to go home. When you heard San Francisco after that game, immediately they had already turned the page. So I think that sets them up mentally in a good place for it.
Just personnel-wise, thinned out defense got hit again. Tatum Bethune, the linebacker, who's been filling in for Fred Warner, now he's out. How many losses can that defense absorb personnel-wise?
The other thing is the style of loss. They got that was a physical beating. I mean, you know what I mean? Like when you just line up and punch people in the mouth and you realize that's supposed to be your style of play and you couldn't answer it, that's a tough way to end the season.
It's a playoff palooza. We continue counting it down to all these games this weekend: Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Right now, we have done so much already. We need some carbs.
Yes,
we need
load
pancakes. Jackson specifically didn't answer that question the way some of us think he could have because he doesn't really want John Harbaugh back. Is that what we're saying?
I guess in Lamar's defense, in the argument for what J-Mac is saying is that Lamar could have just lied and said, yeah, I want him back. Like, I think that in order to avoid all this other stuff. The fact that he said that, like, that suggests that possibly that's how he's actually feeling. I think all of us recognize that that question wasn't a surprise. And if he wanted to avoid the drama afterwards, he could have said, he could have told us.
For 8 weeks, we have been talking about Mike Tomlin and Harbaugh getting fired. This is not a surprise question. I'm sure he had been asked this even before in the locker room at some point. Like, there is no shock and surprise. I get, like, man, the game just ended. We flared a field goal, whatever it is. But it's not like this is a brand new question, out of nowhere.
Yeah, I don't think his response was calculated. Like, I'm going to say this and then create mystery.
No.
I don't think that's what happened. I think his response was authentic. But the fact that the authentic response wasn't, oh, yeah, of course.
Exactly.
I think is a little bit telling that maybe not everything there is, hunky-dory. I think there are some questions about what's going on behind the scenes there with him. I don't know. I think there's a lot of questions that organization has to answer. It's a good organization. They will probably answer them correctly, but I do think there are some tough conversations that have to be had.
I also think there's something to being in that moment. You may not feel like you want him to be your head coach as you just lost that game, but give it a few days, give it a week, have a conversation, an exit meeting, you may feel differently. So I think in the moment right there for Lamar Jackson, how crazy this season has been for them, the journey of to start the season, the offense was rolling, the defense couldn't figure it out. Defense figures out, Lamar comes back, then the offense isn't playing well. So I think right there in that moment, I may not want to give a stamp of approval to John Harbaugh because of how I'm feeling right now, but you fast forward and some time goes by, you may feel differently.
He's just not happy about anything.
You put on top of it, the story about Lamar's leadership that came out, like those things don't come out of nowhere. I think that he's also probably a little harmed by that. So, all things considered, you could say that he handled that about as well as you could expect someone coming off of a tough loss in knowing that at least someone in the organization is not 100% in support of you, because that story, that's just not out of nowhere.
No, for sure. And at the end of this, somebody's job is in jeopardy over the next 4 days. Whether it's Harbaugh, whether it's OCs, DC,
has to speak for it.
somebody, because you don't go the way they've gone and everybody just goes scot-free.
And in the few seconds that I have here for the audience, those who don't know, look, Lamar's contract situation is also an interesting thing to keep an eye on.
2 years left on his contract. The salary cap number goes up to almost $75 million next year. So with 2 years left, you would think they'd discuss an extension. Brings his contract in line with the top of the market. We'll see. If they do that, then great. If they don't, then that calls his future there into question.
He represents himself, which makes it even more difficult, right? The last time didn't go smoothly. So all of those things are in play as you know, the offseason.
Yeah, remember the last contract go-around he had? We had to basically put in 5 different teams before he wound up staying where he was in Baltimore. We'll see. Still lots to get to. Meanwhile, that's not the